The video was still live when they took her. 2.3 million people watched it happen in real time, and every single one of them thought it was fake. That's the thing about living your entire life through a screen. You forget what real looks like. You forget that terror has a sound, a specific pitch that no acting coach can teach you. Mia Harper's fans had seen her cry on camera dozens of times. They'd watched her laugh, scream, rage, and collapse in carefully curated emotional breakdowns that always ended with a product placement and a reminder to like and subscribe. So when the door to her penthouse apartment exploded inward at 9:47 on a Tuesday night, and three figures in black masks grabbed her by the hair while she was mid-sentence about her new skincare line, her audience did what they always did. They laughed. They commented. They shared it with the caption, "OMG, she's so extra." And Mia Harper disappeared into the dark while a million phones glowed with her terror, mistaking her final moments of freedom for content. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand how we got here, you need to understand Mia. Not the Mia her followers knew, the one with perfect lighting and even more perfect lies, but the real woman behind the username. The one who was about to learn that fame is just another word for being watched by people who think they own you. Mia Harper wasn't born for this life. She built it brick by digital brick from a studio apartment in Kansas City where the wallpaper peeled and the neighbors complained about her ring light. She started like everyone else, talking to a phone propped against a stack of books, wondering if anyone would care. Her first videos got 12 views. 11 were her mom on different devices. But Mia had something that algorithms love. She was relentless. She posted 3 times a day. She commented on bigger creators' content. She learned the game, the tags, the timing, the way to hook someone in the first 3 seconds before their thumb kept scrolling. It took 3 years. 3 years of pretending her life was aspirational when she was eating ramen for the 4th night in a row. 3 years of morning routines filmed at 2 in the afternoon, of honest reviews for products that paid her in exposure. But then something shifted. A video about her grandmother's death, raw, unfiltered mascara running down her face, went viral. Not because people cared about her grandmother, but because her pain was beautiful and shareable. Relatable enough to make you feel something, but distant enough that you could scroll past without actually helping. After that, Mia understood the assignment. Give them emotion, give them drama. Give them something to dissect in the comments, to debate, to feel superior about or invested in. She became a brand built on vulnerability, which is just another way of saying she learned to package her trauma and sell it back to the people who caused it. By the time she hit 1 million followers, Mia had moved to Los Angeles, into a penthouse apartment in West Hollywood with floor-to-ceiling windows that turned the city into a glittering backdrop for her life. She had a manager, an assistant, a PR team that crafted her authentic voice in 14-paragraph Instagram captions that took hours to write. She had sponsorships, a merchandise line, and invitations to events where people who didn't know her name still wanted photos with her. She also had something else, something she didn't talk about in her videos or her carefully curated grid. She had fear. It started small. Comments that felt a little too specific. "I love that blue dress you wore to the grocery store on Thursday." She hadn't posted about going to the grocery store. "Your new neighbor seems nice. Tell him I said hi." She didn't have a new neighbor at first. She told herself it was normal. You put your life online, people pay attention. That's the whole point. But then the messages got darker, more detailed. "You should lock your bedroom window. 3rd floor doesn't mean you're safe." Mia reported them, changed her passwords. Got a security system. Told herself it was just trolls, just the price of success. Besides, her followers loved the drama when she posted about it. "Dealing with a stalker situation, but I'm staying strong for you guys," became her most liked post that month. The night it happened, Mia was doing what she did every Tuesday, going live. She'd built her empire on these unscripted moments, or at least that's what her audience believed. In reality, every spontaneous laugh was practiced, every casual revelation planned. But the lives felt real, and that was what mattered. That was what kept people coming back. She was wearing a white silk robe, her hair in a casual bun that had taken 20 minutes to perfect. The apartment behind her was immaculate. Candles flickering, fresh flowers on the counter, the kind of space that told viewers success was possible if they just tried hard enough, bought the right things, manifested the right energy. She was talking about her latest collaboration, a makeup line with some Instagram famous brand that none of her viewers could actually afford, but all of them wanted. "So I've been testing these for months," she said, holding up a palette to the camera. "And I literally cannot wait for you guys to try them. The pigmentation is insane, and the best part..." She paused for effect, the way she'd learned to do, building anticipation even in throwaway moments. "The best part is they're cruelty-free and vegan, so you can feel good about looking good." The comments flooded in heart emojis and fire emojis and people tagging their friends. Someone wrote, "Take my money." Someone else wrote, "You're glowing queen." 300 people were watching live, then 800, then 1,500. The algorithm loved engagement, and Mia knew exactly how to feed it. She didn't hear the lock click. The apartment was too big, the music she had playing too loud for ambiance. She didn't see the shadow move in the hallway behind her. The camera caught it, though. For just a fraction of a second, a figure appeared in the background, disappearing before most people even registered it. A few people typed, "OMG, did you see that?" But their messages got lost in the flood of comments about the makeup, the robe, her skin, her hair, her life that looked so perfect through the screen. Mia was mid-sentence. "And I've got a discount code for you guys, it's MyLoves30, when the door burst open. Not the front door, the bedroom door. The one that should have been closed, should have been locked, should have been impossible to get through without her knowing. 3 people in black tactical gear and ski masks moved with the precision of people who had planned this moment, rehearsed it, dreamed about it. The first one grabbed her from behind, one hand over her mouth, the other around her waist, lifting her off the stool like she weighed nothing. Mia's phone clattered to the floor, the camera skewing sideways, capturing a nauseating angle of the ceiling, and then her face as she fought, her eyes wide and white with terror, her scream muffled against a gloved hand. The second figure moved through the frame quickly, efficient, knocking over the ring light so the room strobed between darkness and harsh white. The third went for the windows, yanking the curtains closed. The whole thing took 17 seconds. 17 seconds from door to darkness. The camera caught all of it from its position on the floor. Mia's legs kicking, her robe tearing, the sound of her gasping for air, the words she managed to choke out. "Help me, please, this isn't..." And then the stream cut. Not because the kidnappers ended it, because someone, probably accidentally, probably in the chaos, kicked the phone, and it hit the edge of the counter just right, just hard enough to disconnect. The last frame was frozen on Mia's face, her mouth open in a silent scream, her eyes locked on the camera like she was pleading with every person watching to understand, to see, to save her. Instead, they laughed. The comments exploded. "OMG, this is so good. She's really committing to the bit." The acting is actually impressive, though. Can't wait for part 2. Someone even wrote, "This is why she's the GOAT, always keeping it fresh." A few people, maybe a dozen out of the thousands who had watched, posted question marks, uncertain emojis, tentative suggestions that maybe this seemed real. They were immediately drowned out by mockery. Imagine actually thinking this is real, LMAO. It's called performance art. Educate yourself. She literally staged a breakup last month. She's obviously doing a kidnapping thriller series. Mia's manager, Trevor, watched the whole thing from his office in Beverly Hills, shaking his head with a smile. Damn, he thought, she didn't run this one by me. Bold move. Probably trying to go viral before the product launch. He made a note to talk to her about coordinating these things better, then went back to scrolling through sponsorship offers. Her best friend, Jasmine, saw it on her For You page an hour later, already remixed into a meme with dramatic music. She texted Mia, "Girl, what the hell, lol, you scared me for a second there." When Mia didn't respond, Jasmine assumed she was busy with whatever the next phase of the stunt was and went to bed. The LAPD got 4 calls about the video that night. All 4 were filed under suspicious content and passed along to a desk sergeant who pulled up the clip, watched it twice, checked Mia's other recent videos, including one from 2 weeks ago, where she'd staged an elaborate robbery prank on her assistant and marked it as entertainment industry publicity stunt. No action required. 24 hours passed, then 48. Mia missed a scheduled post. That wasn't unusual. Her feed was often irregular by design, creating artificial scarcity. But then she missed a brand partnership deadline, one worth $50,000, one that Trevor had specifically reminded her about 6 times. When Trevor tried calling and got voicemail, he felt the first stirring of concern. He drove to her apartment, used his key. He was her manager, he had access to everything. That was the deal. The place was destroyed, broken glass near the entryway. The stool where she'd been sitting toppled over, her phone on the floor. Screen cracked, battery dead. The makeup palettes she'd been showing scattered across the counter like casualties. Trevor called the police. This time, they sent someone. Detective Sarah Chen had been with the LAPD for 19 years, the last 7 in missing persons. She'd seen everything: runaways, kidnappings, people who disappeared because they wanted to, and people who disappeared because someone else wanted them to. She'd also seen the new world they were living in, where everything was content and nothing was real, where people faked their own deaths for views and then were genuinely surprised when no one came to help when they actually needed it. When she arrived at Mia's apartment at 11 a.m. on Thursday, 72 hours after the live stream, she already knew this was different. The crime scene told a story. Multiple entry points checked. The door hadn't been forced. Whoever came in had a key or knew the code. The bedroom where they'd emerged had a window that opened onto a fire escape, accessed from an alley that had no security cameras. Professional planned. She's an influencer, Trevor kept saying, pacing the apartment, his hands shaking. She does stunts.
She does wild things for content. Maybe this is just, I don't know. Maybe she's taking it further than usual, maybe...
Where's her phone? Chen asked. There. Trevor pointed to the evidence bag that contained the shattered device. But she has backups. She has everything backed up to the cloud. Has anyone checked her accounts, her bank? Trevor stared at her. It hadn't occurred to him. Chen had a tech specialist pull Mia's digital footprint while she reviewed the live stream. She watched it 5 times, each viewing revealing details she'd missed before. The shadow in the background. The way Mia's eyes went to the door seconds before it opened. She'd heard something, sensed something. The precision of the takedown. The way they'd covered the windows first, eliminating sight lines. And the thing that made Chen's blood run cold. The way they'd moved through the apartment like they'd been there before. They knew the layout, knew which way to turn, where the exits were, how to move without knocking into furniture in the dark. This wasn't random, Chen said to her partner, Detective Marcus Webb. And it wasn't a stunt. Webb pulled up Mia's social media on his tablet. Look at this, though her whole brand is drama. She's got a highlights reel called Pranks and Chaos. There's a video from 3 months ago where she stages a fake arrest at a restaurant. This is what she does. Then where is she? Chen asked simply. If this was for content, where's the reveal? Where's part 2? Webb didn't have an answer. The investigation kicked into gear. Chen got warrants for Mia's accounts, her messages, her email. What they found was a digital trail of obsession that Mia herself might not have fully understood. There were 47 accounts that had sent her concerning messages over the past year. Most were easy to dismiss. Trolls, angry ex-followers, people who thought they were in relationships with her because they'd exchanged 3 comments. But one stood out, an account under the name Watching You Always. It had been following Mia since her early days, back when she had 3,000 followers. Every post, every story, every live. This person had been there, watching, commenting, always friendly, always supportive. Too supportive. The comments were effusive. You're perfect. I'd do anything for you. You deserve everything. Innocuous on their own, but there were thousands of them, a constant stream of devotion that read less like fandom and more like worship. Chen dug deeper. The account had sent Mia direct messages, 317 of them over 18 months. Mia had responded to exactly 4 brief thank yous for compliments, but the person behind Watching You Always kept sending them. Long essays about how Mia had changed their life, saved them, given them purpose, references to knowing Mia was lonely, knowing she was scared, knowing she needed someone who really understood her. And then, buried in the messages from 3 weeks ago, you don't have to pretend anymore. Soon you'll see. Soon you'll be free. Chen felt the pieces clicking into place. This isn't about ransom, this is about possession. The tech team traced Watching You, always through VPNs and burner emails. A digital maze designed by someone who understood technology and obsession in equal measure. It took 2 days, but they found a real name. Andrew Calloway, 34, IT specialist, lived alone in a warehouse conversion in the Arts District. No criminal record, no red flags. Just another face in a city of 8 million people who wanted to be close to fame. The team hid his apartment with a warrant and tactical backup. What they found was a shrine. The entire main wall was covered in printed photographs of Mia. Not just her public photos, screenshots from her lives, zoomed-in images of her in private moments caught through restaurant windows, shots taken from across the street as she got her mail. There were maps marking her usual routes, her favorite coffee shop, her gym, the grocery store where she shopped. There was a timeline constructed with pins and string, tracking her daily schedule with obsessive precision. And on his computer, they found the blueprint, floor plans for her apartment building security schedules. Door codes, a detailed plan for accessing her penthouse through the fire escape, complete with timing down to the second. But Andrew Calloway wasn't there. The apartment had been cleared out hastily, drawers open, clothes missing, a coffee cup still sitting on the counter with a skin of mold forming on the surface. He'd been gone for days since the night of the kidnapping. Chen stood in the middle of the shrine, feeling time slipping away. He's got a secondary location, somewhere he's been planning to take her all along. They found it in his browser history, one careless click in a sea of careful planning. A property listing for a cabin in the San Bernardino Mountains, viewed 17 times over the past month. No purchase records. Andrew was too smart for that. But rental properties in the area matching the description, isolated off the grid. Perfect for someone who wanted to keep another person hidden from the world. Meanwhile, 100 miles away in a cabin that smelled like pine and rot, Mia Harper was discovering what it meant to be truly seen. She'd been unconscious for the drive, chloroform and the motion of the van keeping her under. When she woke, she was in a room with wood-paneled walls and one small window covered with boards. Her hands were zip-tied to a radiator. Her throat was raw from screaming that first night, before she realized no one could hear her, before she understood how far from civilization she really was. Andrew sat across from her on a folding chair, still wearing the mask, his voice gentle. "You don't have to be scared, Mia. This isn't what you think." "What I think," she said, her voice hoarse, "is that you kidnapped me, that you're a psychopath, that you've been stalking me." "No," he sounded hurt. "No, that's not. Mia, I saved you. Don't you see? I saved you from that life, that fake life where you're just a product, where millions of people think they know you but no one actually sees you. I see you, the real you. You don't know me at all. I know you better than anyone." He leaned forward, earnest. "I know you're tired. I know you cry yourself to sleep after posting about how blessed you are. I know you're lonely even though you're never alone. I know you want someone who loves you for who you are, not what you can sell. That's me, Mia. I'm the one who really knows you." The terror of it wasn't just the captivity. It was the realization that he believed every word he was saying. This wasn't a kidnapping to him. This was a rescue, a love story. He'd set up a camera in the corner of the room. "Your followers miss you," he said. "I've been reading the comments. They think the live stream was fake. They think you're coming back with some big reveal. Isn't that perfect? They're so used to you performing that they can't recognize reality anymore." "Let me tell them," Mia said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Let me post something. Let me..." "No, this is your chance to be free. No more performing, no more pretending. Just us, being real together." Days blurred. Andrew brought her food, told her about his life, about how he'd first discovered her channel when he was going through a dark time, how her videos had given him hope, how he'd felt a connection he'd never felt with another human being. "You smiled at me," he said, "in your videos. Like you could see me, like you knew I was there." "That's not real," Mia told him. "That's just, I smile at the camera. It's not personal. Everything you do is personal to me." Back in Los Angeles, Chen's team was racing against a clock they couldn't see. They'd narrowed the search to 7 possible properties, all remote, all owned by shell companies or rented under fake names. Satellite imagery showed signs of recent activity at 3 of them. They had to split up, check them all simultaneously, hope they got lucky. Chen chose the cabin furthest from any main road, the one that made the least sense logistically because of that. "People who plan things this carefully," she said. "They think about what investigators will think. They go for the unexpected." The drive took 4 hours through winding mountain roads. It was mid-afternoon when they arrived, the sun filtering through pine trees, making everything look peaceful, almost holy. Chen approached with her weapon drawn, tactical team flanking her. The cabin looked abandoned. No car, no lights, no movement, until she heard it faint from inside. Someone crying. They breached the door fast and hard. The cabin was small, 2 rooms, a kitchenette, a bathroom. Andrew was standing in the main room, and he had a gun. "Don't come closer," he said, his voice shaking. "You don't understand. This isn't what you think. Where is she?" Chen asked, her own weapon trained on his chest. "She's safe. She's finally safe away from all of you. All the people who use her, who take from her, who turned her into a thing instead of a person." "Andrew, put down the gun. Let's talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about. I gave up everything for her. My job, my apartment, my life. She's all I have. She's all that matters." In the back room, Mia heard the voices, heard the rescue she'd spent days praying for. She started screaming, kicking at the door, making as much noise as her exhausted body could manage. The sound made Andrew turn, just for a second, just enough. Chen fired. Not to kill. She was too good for that, too trained, but to disarm. The bullet hit Andrew's shoulder, spinning him sideways, the gun clattering across the floor. The tactical team swarmed him, brought him down hard, cuffed him while he sobbed about love and being misunderstood, and how they'd ruined everything. Chen found Mia in the back room, still zip-tied to the radiator, covered in bruises, dehydrated, traumatized, but alive. She cut the ties with shaking hands. "You're okay," she said. "You're safe now, we've got you." Mia Harper was taken to a hospital, treated for dehydration and minor injuries, and placed under protective custody. While the investigation wrapped up, Andrew Calloway was charged with kidnapping, false imprisonment, stalking, and a dozen other counts that would likely keep him imprisoned for the rest of his life. But the story didn't end there, because 3 days after her rescue, Mia did what everyone knew she would do. She went live. This time, though, was different. She wasn't in her penthouse with perfect lighting and carefully chosen outfits. She was in a safe house wearing a hospital bracelet, her hair unstyled, her face bare. She looked into the camera, the same camera that had captured her kidnapping, that her followers had dismissed as entertainment, and she told them everything. She told them about the fear of being watched by someone who confused parasocial relationships with real connection. She told them about screaming for help while millions of people laughed. She told them about lying on a cabin floor, convinced she was going to die, while her comment section debated whether her performance deserved an Oscar. "You thought it was content," she said, her voice quiet but steady. "You thought my terror was engagement. And I don't blame you, because I taught you to think that way. I taught you that my entire life was a show, that nothing I did was real, that even my pain was entertainment. I made myself a product, and then I was shocked when someone tried to purchase me." The video went viral. Not because it was dramatic, though it was, but because it was true, raw, unedited. The exact opposite of everything Mia had built her empire on. And that honesty, that vulnerability that wasn't packaged or sold, struck a chord deeper than any of her carefully crafted content ever had. She didn't post again for 6 months. When she did, it was different, smaller. More real, less performing, more being. Her follower count dropped. People wanted the fantasy, not the reality. But the ones who stayed were different too. They saw her as a person, not a product. As for Andrew Calloway, he was convicted and sentenced to 25 years. At his sentencing, he cried and insisted he'd only ever wanted to protect her, to save her from a world that didn't deserve her. The judge was unmoved. But the thing that kept Detective Chen up at night, even after the case was closed, was a question she couldn't answer. How many more Andrew Calloways were out there? How many people watching through screens, confusing observation with connection, mistaking the performance of a life for actual intimacy? How many of them were one bad day away from trying to turn their fantasies into reality? In a world where everything is content and everyone is watching, the line between audience and accomplice had never been thinner. Mia Harper learned that lesson the hardest way possible. She went live and showed the world exactly who she was, and the world hit like and kept scrolling. The live stream of her kidnapping is still online. You can find it if you search. It's been viewed 47 million times now, turned into memes and reaction videos, dissected and analyzed and monetized by people who never asked her permission. The comments have changed, though. Where there were once laughing emojis, now there are apologies. I thought it was fake. I'm sorry we didn't help. We should have known. But Mia knows the truth. Even if they had known, even if they had believed, most of them still wouldn't have done anything. Because that's not what followers do. They watch, they comment, they share, but they don't save you. You have to save yourself. And somehow, impossibly, that's exactly what Mia Harper did. Not in the cabin, not through some dramatic escape, but afterward, when she chose to be real in a world that rewards performance. When she chose to be human in a space that commodifies humanity. When she looked into the camera one last time and said the hardest words an influencer can say, "I'm done pretending." The screen went dark, and for the first time in years, Mia Harper was finally free.